Welcome back, everybody. This is Eric here with Iraq Veteran 8888. Today, I've got another Gun Gripe episode for you. I've got special guest with me here today, Mr. Gunsngear, Mike. Great dude, one of my favorite people in the gun world. Go right now, stop what you're doing. Stop everything. Go subscribe. Go follow him on Facebook, on Instagram. You won't be disappointed.
That's solid advice.
He's the king of the deal, all right? He's got deals upon deals upon deals. All right, today's Gun Gripe, we're going to be talking about the AR-15 fallacies that get spread by not only the mainstream media, but the anti-gunners in general use a heck of a lot of terms to incorrectly describe the AR-15 and its capabilities. So we're here to put some of those things to bed today and hopefully let you know that, the AR-15 is America's rifle. Now, that's not what AR stands for, but I sometimes think it stands for America's rifle because it's more true now than ever.
Absolutely. There's more AR pattern guns than any other rifle out there in America.
Yeah, totally common. So let's get into a few of these fallacies, these myths that get spread erroneously about our poor AR-15. It gets a bad rap, and we're here to end that today.
Sure. So one of them is going to be that they're all full auto, that they're the same gun that the military uses. They are not. Not the ones most people own in America anyway. They're semi-automatic, meaning that one trigger pull, you get one round down range. That's it. There you go. Yep. That's it. So while they may appear similar to what the military uses in terms of actual function of the firearm, it's not the same.
Correct. So that's one of the most distinct characteristics the mainstream media certainly tries to report and makes it seem as if that the full auto versions of this rifle are extremely common, and they simply are not. Special licensing required. I mean, if you go into manufacturing and you get your law letters and your sign-offs and all that, if you're in good with your local Clios and things, yeah, you can certainly get the letters and get stuff made or become a manufacturer, but those are very complicated and in-depth processes that your average person just isn't going to do.
Right, and additionally, if you don't want to do that, an average person can buy them. They're just really expensive, like tens of thousands of dollars.
All right, our next myth. They aren't good for hunting, Mike.
Yeah, people say it a lot. They say it's unethical to hunt with an AR-15, that it's not powerful enough, and it's, just not ethical for the animal. I would have to disagree with that. Obviously, you have to choose your ammunition correctly, but I've put down a lot of hogs personally with them. I'm sure you've shot other animals as well, but they go down if you use the right ammo. Yes,
they do. And the thing I'll add to that is the people that say that AR-15s aren't good for hunting are probably the same people that can't shoot good enough to get a good solid shot, center mass shot in the boiler room on an animal with any other rifle anyway. So if you took your Grandpa's 30-06 out and gut shot a deer and it ran 300 yards before it died, well, guess what? Whether you use a 30-06 or a 5.56, it isn't going to matter if the shot isn't a lethal shot to begin with. So, a good like 69 to 75 grain heavy in an AR with a good expanding bullet, and especially I would say 100 yards and in is about the optimal range for larger game. You can totally, I've shot numerous hogs and deer with cranium and neck shots and center mass boiler room shots. And I've been very pleased with the stopping, the stopping power is kind of a myth thing, but I've been very pleased with the terminal performance of the AR-15. And barrel length also has a lot to do with it too. These guys think it's cute to do a pistol with like a little, 7 or 10 inch barrel, and you can do that, Most of your SF guys are generally running, what, 12 and a half and 14s?
10 and a half.
10 and a half, so even shorter.
10.3 rather, excuse me.
A 10.3, okay.
The Mark 18s.
Yeah, the Mark 18's a 10.3. For some reason, I was thinking it was a 12 and a half. But you can run a shorter barrel. The longer barrel does give you a little more velocity. I tend to be sort of an A2 guy when it's practical. I do like a longer barrel to get that boost in velocity, especially as you decrease the range and you're at closer distance. Those longer barrels are definitely going to give you a nice little boost in velocity there.
Absolutely. And additionally, I should point out that there's other calibers, right? It's not just 5.56 for ARs.
Absolutely. You can get an AR-15 chambered in 450 Bushmaster, 50 Beowulf. I mean, there's some big bore ARs you can get out there for sure.
Yep.
So that leads us to the next myth, power expectations. Now, we sort of already covered that in this particular video, just talking about the And for the purposes of the power expectations, we can sort of roll that in with 5.56. Unrealistic power expectations.
Yeah, in both ways, you know. So some people will say, you know, can't drop anything with it. Other people will say, you know, it's this super deadly weapon and it's so powerful. You know, I've heard that so many times in the media about the power of the AR-15, while at the same time, you know, other people are saying it's unethical to hunt with.
Yeah, you can't have your cake and eat it too in that regard. I mean, I think the takeaway from that statement would be that all firearms must be treated with respect. And you must understand that, you know, you can't say, oh, well, one gun is more powerful than the other, and therefore, oh, well, this one is more deadly, because a 22 can kill you if you have a discharge. A 22 short can kill you if you have a discharge. Say I don't know, you're playing around with it, you shoot yourself in the leg or something, or hit a vital organ, or worse, you know, a cranium shot. Firearms should be treated with equal respect, no matter if it's a 22 short or a 20 millimeter, you know, like Vulcan or what the heck ever, you know, big old minigun or anti-aircraft gun. I mean, firearms are inherently dangerous objects. The media, though, does portray the power level of the AR-15 in a very unfair and, dare I say, dishonest manner. I know you guys have seen the popular media shot where it shows, oh, well, the power of the AR-15. It shows a watermelon, like, vaporizing. And the camera pans out, and it's a dude with a 12-gauge shotgun.
Shotgun, yeah.
I mean, if you're going to, you know, paint something with a bad brush, at least use the right colors and at least be honest with people. And there is a lot of media bias and dishonesty that caters to some of the public distaste for this gun design, just because it is the poster child of gun control advocates. So that's part of why that exists.
Absolutely.
All right, our next myth: you have to spend $2,000 or more to get a really good AR-15.
Yeah, I mean, that always changes depending on the market, but it's absolutely not true. You know, there's good, reliable, proven guns like the Colt 6920. Typically, you can find those, depending on the market, between $900 to $1,200. You know, and those are very good guns. There's also really good guns that are priced below that, like the Smith & Wesson M&P Sport, for example. Those are rental guns that at places where people run really high round counts, and they just keep running. You know, there's a reason people pick them.
Yeah, and it's also fair to say that another point into the camp of the M&P Sport is also our meltdown video where we torture tested one. It ran great. Now this is a Sport 2 because it's got a forward assist
and dust cover.
And a dust cover. The standard Sport models do not have that feature, but this particular gun ran the best out of all the DIs that we tested. And you're talking a in a really good, in a perfectly normal environment, a $600 to $800 gun.
Yep.
And it performed beautifully. Yep. All right. You know,
I have one that I didn't melt, and still going strong. It has thousands of rounds through it and 0 issues at all.
Yeah. Yeah, it's definitely a point in the camp for the Smiths. Now, the gun that I have in front of me here, this is a Delton DT Sport. So this is Delton's version of a Sport 2, essentially. So you got the forward assist, dust cover, you know, basic DI setup with the standard, you know, car handguards, A2 front sight. This one has a bayonet lug. Oddly enough, I'm not sure what kind of freakishly weird bayonet would fit on this, but
it makes gun banners mad. So that's why I like the bayonet lug.
Absolutely, absolutely. So there's that aspect of it. You don't have to spend a ton of money to get a great AR. You know, and the most important thing I might add to that, run what you got.
Right.
If all you can afford is a Delton Sport like this, there is nothing wrong with that. Or if you go to Palmetto State Armory and pick up, you know, a $379 AR, look, keep it clean, go out, zero it, shoot it, take care of it, run what you got.
And one of the beauties of the AR too is that you can upgrade it later on if you want to, relatively easily. Absolutely.
All right, so running on to accuracy expectations. All right, this is a really good one. People tend to think that an AR-15 has to shoot a minute or under, or it is a piece of junk. It's a piece of crap. Oh, it's not a sub-minute AR, what?
I get this all the time in my comment section because I shoot groups in my videos. And sometimes they're sub-MOA, sometimes they're 2 MOA.
Sometimes they're 4 MOA.
Well, yeah, that's true too. You know, sometimes the barrel doesn't like a particular type of ammo, but, you know, can they be MOA guns? Absolutely. There's plenty of them that are, but they don't have to be. And even the mil spec for it, I believe, is 4 MOA.
Yeah.
So take
4
that for what it's
MOA
worth.
has been the military standard for rifle accuracy since at least World War II, if not even before that. I know for an M1 Garand to be accepted into service during World War II, it had to shoot a 4-inch group at 100 yards or better.
Yep, same for the M4.
Same for the M4. So that expectation is reasonable, right? And I mean, in case we haven't noticed, we won World War II. So the Garand, a 4-minute Garand was good enough for our forefathers. Then certainly a 4-minute AR, while we'd like to see better accuracy, will work for us. Now, I will say this as well before we move on to the next. This is more of the general comment, not necessarily related just to the AR-15, but I'll say that because of the increased technologies that we've seen in projectile designs, powder propellants that we're using in these cartridges, as well as barrel technology, you can make a really good barrel for a lot less money now than what you used to be able to do.
The stress relieving in modern barrels is night and day.
Modern barrels are far better, and with the better ammo we've got now, yeah, the accuracy expectation has gotten better over what it used to be years ago because our guns have gotten better, our ammo has gotten better. So it's okay to be like, oh, well, it's to shoot 1 minute. Well, that's a great benchmark to set, but if your gun shoots 1.5 minutes, shoots 2 minutes, don't panic. You're still going to be able to shoot things 500-600 yards away. Easily, no problem.
And most guns that shoot, 2 minute with factory loads, if you did load for that rifle, you could shrink that down as well.
Absolutely. Absolutely. All right, so another common misconception is the meaning of the term AR, the AR-15, like what that actually means. And I've heard people say, oh, it's an assault rifle.
Yep. Should be America's rifle, like we said.
America's rifle, I think, is the abbreviation I like to use. It's called America's rifle.
Of course, though, it's from Armalite.
Right.
Which is where Eugene Stoner worked when he was developing the design, excuse me. So that is why it's the AR-15. And of course the AR-10, it's the same.
Right. So AR stands for Armalite, people. All right, get it right.
And the Armalite of today is not the Armalite of the old days, just for what it's worth as well. They're different companies, just the same name.
Gotcha. And I guess the same could be said for many companies in the firearms industry.
Yeah, sure.
that tends to, well, not without going on this particular rabbit hole, but we know that Remington was just, who purchased Remington recently? Ruger did, didn't they?
No, they purchased Marlin.
Marlin, that's correct. Yeah, Marlin was just bought by Ruger of all people. So that's going to be interesting to see how that turns out.
I'm looking forward to it. The Marlin guns, the old ones were great, but recent ones not so much in my experience.
I agree. Okay, so
we're going down the rabbit hole, guys.
We are going down look, we're going down the rabbit hole, but I'll just say, so this is a 336 that was made in 1939, okay? This is a legit Marlin 336 with a JM barrel, and this one's chambered in 32 special, and this gun is head over heels superior to any modern Marlin you'll ever find, 110%.
I agree.
The better stocks, better bluing.
Action.
Oh, gosh. Ha! Yeah. Anyway, we went off on a rabbit hole there, but why not?
Yeah, exactly.
That's what we do.
It's 2020.
It's 2020. But hey, we're going to go down a series of rabbit holes, some of which we may never return. Who knows? Okay, crime statistics. Yeah. This is a really good one. All right, when you look at crime statistics, I can't say that word, you end up seeing the situation where the media paints it like AR-15s are just used in a crazy amount of crime, and that it's the criminal's choice, for a firearm to use to commit a crime. The data just simply does not back up their claims. It doesn't. The FBI crime statistics totally favor more of handgun use than anything else. Rifles as a general category, and when you even narrow that down to AR-15s within the rifle category, actually constitute such a small number of crimes for the amount of AR-15s that are out there that the statistic is almost a moot point.
Right. You're more likely to be killed with a blunt object than you are an AR-15.
Yes.
According to stats.
Yes.
So, yeah. And then additionally, the media, again, whenever an AR-15 is actually used in a crime, they highlight it. It's everywhere. Sometimes when they're not even used, they just roll in footage of the AR-15 anyway. Like in Texas, when the guy used the AK in Walmart, a lot of stories were running cover photos of AR-15s when it was clearly an AK.
The media certainly has a hard-on for this gun.
They do.
And it's because it is such a common gun that so many people use and so many people rely on for their liberty and their safety. And then it is a tool of freedom and that many people choose. And of course, they're going to identify the tools that people most readily associate with freedom, and they're going to try to remove those tools from the public eye, and that's totally their goal. And they know the data doesn't back up their claims. They simply don't care, and they want to run a disinformation campaign, and that's really what it comes down to. So yeah, the crime statistics, if you get into it, look it up. The data's there. Don't take our word for it. Look at it yourself.
Yep, the FBI publishes it every year.
Yes, absolutely. All right, so we already touched on media bias, but there's a lot of ways the media is biased against this rifle for sure.
I mean, like I said, they use it even when it's not used, which is crazy. Same thing with the magazines, right? They'll all say they're high capacity magazines. It's a standard capacity magazine. It's a 30-round magazine. So, I mean, yeah, they're out for this gun for sure. 30-round
magazines have been around a heck of a long time. I mean, and there was some like transitional type of magazines too that like they would go from like a 20-round, like I know in the BRN 601s, they actually reissue the straight 25 shot mag. So it's like intermediate, but it's standard capacity because that's what's used, right? It is a normal capacity magazine. I mean, a 100 round beta mag is a standard capacity magazine in my eyes. So,
and you know, early on in Vietnam, like Eric was saying there, they were issuing 20s, but by the end of that campaign, 30s were standard, you know, so that was in the 70s. So they've been standard for a long time.
Yeah, and that's not going anywhere, of course. So the media bias is definitely a part of that. So the last kind of bullet point, I know there's others. All right, so if there are things that we left out in this video, I want you to leave your comments in the comment section below and let us know if we left something off. Okay, but this is going to be the last bullet point, no pun intended, that we're going to be talking about here on this particular, gun gripe, and that is the longevity / reliability in harsh conditions. A lot of people think the AR, is a unreliable gun that you get one speck of dirt in it and it's going to stop working. So is that true?
No, there's a lot of really good data on that as well out there, but one, if you're watching on YouTube, that you can check out is InRange. They did a test of this with mud, and because it's an enclosed system, it does very well in those types of testing. Yep.
And I know, I love Ian and Carl. They have such great content. And the thing is, not only is their content great, but also our friend Tim at Military Arms Channel does his gauntlet testing, and he'll do a lot of crazy stuff as well. And he actually just got done with a whole group of PCCs. I'm not gonna spoil the surprise for you, but some of your favorite PCCs were put through the gauntlet, and some of you are gonna cry. I know I did. When Tim sent me a text message, is like, "You won't believe this." And I'm like, oh no. When I heard, I was like, oh boy, here we go. So anyway, stay tuned for that. You'll see those stuff on Tim's channel. And definitely check out the tests that Ian and Carl do on InRange. They're excellent. And what's crazy too, like they did that same test on the M1 Garand, and I was surprised, like that pooped the bed pretty bad.
Yeah, real quick. Additionally, like military M4s go through a ton of sand testing, cold weather testing, all of those sorts of things, so in rough environments, the rifles perform pretty well, in my opinion.
I think that there's certainly a threshold, right, that any gun design, if subjected to enough mud or dirt or sand, is going to have issues. I think where the AK starts to have reliability issues the most compared to the AR is really just because it's such an open action with so much space for things to physically find its way into. Right. If I take this gun and load it, even with the dust cover open, there's not a lot of intrusion that can occur right here. I mean, yeah, you'll get a little bit of dirt down through the gas bleed ports and maybe the cotter pin port here. And yeah, some of it can find its way in, especially if it's sludgy or muddy. But generally, it's a relatively closed system.
Yeah, and they typically don't stop until dirt or whatever gets in the chamber. That's what kills them. But, in the action, they tend to run.
Most of the AK failures I've seen with mud have usually been from particulates and mud getting in the trigger pack and causing stuff to not work right. The AK uses a trigger that is not very conducive to having lots of nasty stuff put in it. And you also have to think, the AK is a very outdated design compared to the AR. I mean, the AR is a much more modern firearm with more modern materials. And the AK was good, and it still is a great gun.
But, in terms of an enclosed system, the AR wins for sure.
Absolutely.
It just is.
Yeah, so that puts to bed the myth that AR-15s have problems with longevity and reliability. And a lot of that also comes, I'll just quickly mention this before we head on for the day here and let you guys get back to your day, is that the direct gas impingement system somehow has gotten a bad rap for being a system that, if it's not maintained properly, will give you a lot of issues. A DI system can go a pretty dang long time before needing maintenance, more than you might think.
Absolutely.
Now, it's behooving of you to clean your bolt mechanism at a minimum. And I can't speak for Mike on this particular situation. Maybe I can, maybe he'll agree, maybe he won't, but I know that a lot of soldiers in theater will just carry an extra little like molly pouch with an extra bolt in it, right? If your gun starts choking, you can just pop the pin, pull the bolt out, put a fresh bolt in, and man, you can go a lot longer with a fresh bolt.
Yep.
Even with a dirty chamber, dirty barrel, as long as that bolt's clean, you're generally going to be in there.
Yeah, if it's lubricated and in good condition, they run. Absolutely. I think a lot of the misconception comes from Vietnam with the powder issues.
Yeah.
So.
They used the ball powder, and it was really fouling bad, and I don't think they're really issuing the proper cleaning materials to the soldiers either.
They weren't. And there's a lot of investigations into that, and once they fixed it, the gun's been running pretty well for decades.
Yeah, and that's a great point. The Vietnam War definitely gives the AR a bad rap in terms of the reliability paradigm that gets passed around all the time. So, guys, is there something we missed in this particular video that, maybe we missed the mark? So let us know in the comment section. I know everyone's got an opinion, so let me know if we left out a myth, and we'll revisit this with some of your misconceptions that you want us to address. So, Mike, thanks so much for hanging out, man.
Absolutely, man.
Dude.
Thanks for having me.
Awesome. Make sure you get your butt over there and subscribe to Mike, Mrgunsngear. Go check out his Facebook page, Instagram. He and I exchange banter all the time. Might be kind of humorous, and definitely good days. So, guys, thanks for watching today. We hope you had a great day, and we hope you enjoyed this video. Many more on the way, and we'll see you next time.